Michael, you've won. He's yours.
Blood and Black Rum Podcast presents the season of Halloween.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from Coldsploitation.com, and I'm joined with my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
We are back with the newest episode of our Season of Halloween series, and we're close to the end. It doesn't seem like it. Seems like we've been doing so many Halloween shows that, like, we still got a lot to go, but we've only got...
Literally.
Huh?
Literally.
Yeah.
Halloween shows.
That's right. But we've only got 2 left. Because we're skipping, we did Halloween 1 and 2 from Rob Zombie, so those we're not doing again. And we're not doing, Halloween H2O as either, because we've already done that in an episode. So really, we've only got 2 left. After this one, we got Halloween Resurrection, and we've got the new Halloween. And so it's exciting. We've almost done all of the series.
It's a week away.
Yeah. So, we had been talking about this on the show before when we got to this episode, Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, and we were wondering, what are we going to do? Are we going to do the regular cut? Are we going to do the producer's cut? What should we do? We did offer up a poll, and turns out everybody wanted us to do the producer's cut, but unfortunately, I got some bad news for you. We're not doing the producer's cut, we're doing a theatrical cut. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One being that it just makes sense in the scheme of things right now with what we're covering to do with the theatrical cut. And then also the other reason being that I couldn't find the producer's cut in time for this show. So theatrical cut it is, and I think a lot of people have said they want us to do both at some point in the future.
So we'll just revisit it down the line.
Yeah, so maybe next Halloween we'll throw in the producer's cut and really take a look, or maybe even try to do a little comparison between them. Because for the most part, a lot of producer's cut and theatrical cut are fairly similar, but there are some unique differences to both that really change the outcome of the film. And that was because the original script for this did not do very well at all with test audiences. So they needed to change it up, and they did some major reworkings. And so that's what we get with the theatrical cut. But the producer's cut really got left for people to kind of splice together after the fact. And they kind of put it together. Sometimes call it Halloween 666. But ultimately, it is just the producer's cut.
Just kind of goes to show you people are stupid. There's no way the producer's cut ending could have been more jarring than this one.
That's true.
Because this one goes the very old school, 40s and 50s way of a filmed and,
Yeah. I think you can see it both ways. It's been a long time since I've seen the producer's cut, but I feel like the producer's cut's not very good. But at the same time, you then get left with a theatrical cut, which has a few jarring cuts and changes and edits here and there that really do change up how the film plays out. And so it is interesting, how they decided to go with this theatrical cut, and who knows? Is the producer's cut better? Is theatrical cut better? I don't know. I don't know that either of them is really better than the other. They're just different. But I would say that the theatrical cut does benefit from being more of very straightforward, more straightforward than the producer's cut was going to be. Mm-hmm. So that's maybe its only real benefit, and that's why maybe some people were a little bit happier with the theatrical cut than the producer's cut. But we're gonna focus on the theatrical cut in this one, and then maybe we'll do a shorter episode down the line where we don't go into the full Halloween 6 discussion, but we'll talk about the producer's cut changes in that episode. So yeah, I just wanted to put that out there as a caveat to this episode. But I want to start out by saying that it's been a while since I've seen Halloween 6. It's not one of those movies that when I'm watching Halloween, like the series for Halloween, I don't generally tend to watch Halloween 6 out of them. There's a few reasons for that. Nostalgically, it's not one of my favorite films. And then also, there's the whole, it just never was really played that much on TV, for me at least. I know they have started playing it quite a bit more now, but it's just not one that I've really gone out of my way to watch. So I think I've only seen it like 3 or 4 times. And every time I watch it, it does still strike me that it's super convoluted. And at this point, the history of behind the scenes in Halloween has gotten so drawn out and ridiculous that you do need sort of like a family chart or a family tree to like just figure out who's related to who and how they're related and which ones are cousins and are they adopted or not. It starts to become sort of like this very intricate web of related peoples
and neighbors and
yeah, and in this one it gets even a little bit more convoluted because technically our main characters are not related to Michael at all at this time. They're only tangentially related. So you have Paul Rudd's character Tommy Doyle, who was just basically in that first encounter with Michael Myers on that fateful Halloween with Jamie Lee Curtis, and then you have Karis Strode, who is technically only like an adopted cousin to Jamie and Laurie. So they really don't have much connection whatsoever. It's very tenuous, and they just happen to live in the same household, and that's pretty much it.
Which out of all you'd think, after like, parents and all that got killed in Halloween 2, maybe we, seeing as we're part of the family, maybe we shouldn't live there.
Exactly. Well, yeah, because they seem to have taken more precautions of late for like to try to stop an event like Halloween that happened on those Halloween nights to occur. On the radio, they say that people in Haddonfield that Halloween's been banned
since Halloween 5,
and then we find out that no, it really hasn't.
This is the most Halloween-y film out of them all so far.
Yeah,
There's
absolutely.
Pumpkins and decorations laden everywhere and actually shot in a fall, false atmosphere, so there's leaves everywhere.
Actually, the nice thing about this, and I was looking it up, is that they shot it during the winter. So, technically, like, if you think about winter being, like, November, December area, they still had the leaves from fall, but it technically was, like, after Halloween when they shot it. So, kind of an interesting thing, but it looks like probably the most Halloween that we get in, like, most of the films. So that's nice. I like that part of it. And so what's your experience with Halloween 6? Have you seen it very much?
Only a couple of times. Like 2 or 3 times, maybe. And I think I've seen the producer's cut once a long, long time ago.
It's never really been one of my favorite films from the series.
Well, like I said, 4, 5, and 6 always blurred to me.
Yeah. They're all in
I never really, paid much mind to them because this type of slasher film doesn't really appeal to my senses.
These ones that are getting like more into the 90s style slasher film.
Well, no, not just 90s. I mean, just like even like 80s, 90s. Like overall, they're just very kind of generic and haphazard. Like this one, you can tell what is made in 95, and you can tell like, oh man, it's coming off the heels of like the early slasher films of the 90s because it's got that 9 Inch Nails industrial look. Like, well, we're in the hospital of Smith's Grove now, and pipes are bleeding smoke everywhere, and there's green tinted, cases for no reason with hooks everywhere. Yeah, like the hospital itself was very industrialized. Like I've never really seen it seems like a nice place for tetanus instead of being a nicely sanitized hospital. It's more of like a industrial park. Yeah, but yeah, I agree though. Like I think 4, 5, and 6 they really kind of blur together because they are technically part of the same like trilogy.
Era of film. Even so, I feel like 4 and 5 really weren't trying to like further this cult aspect as much.
Well, 5's the one that hints at it at the end. But again, I don't think they had any idea when they ended 5. I don't think they had an exact idea where they wanted it to go and what they wanted to do with it and where it was going to go. That's why this film, gets made 5-6 years after the fact, because they're like,
what do we do with it?
Yeah,
now?
trying to actually kind of plot it out.
That is tough. Like, what do you? I mean,
because with 4, they just literally dropped the ending to 4, basically of like. Jamie being like the reincarnation of Michael Myers and just moved back. Like, nope, he's back, and she's now just locked up in the sanitarium with all her psychic nightmares. Ooh,
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, I would say for the most part, they do a fairly good job of picking up from 5, though. I mean, if you're going to run with the cult part of the film, then they did a fairly good job with it.
God, didn't they just take like a Stephen King type story or a Lovecraftian?
Yeah.
Like,
right, the whole, like, sort of ritual aspect.
Well, not only that, but, like, it seems like, and from what I've read, the direction is for the next one, before H2O was made, to have it be the whole town's in on it.
Yeah.
The whole, all of Haddonfield, this entire time spent in on it.
You do sort of get, like, that in the mouth of madness sort of, what Carpenter did later on with, like, whole towns that are full of madness and...
Well, that's the same thing, and you would know more than me because I don't read Stephen King, but I've, seen his films, that his films are based off his works, and there's usually, like, and as you were saying with, when we, reviewed the remake of it, and how you were saying, like, Derry's constantly a thing that gets brought up throughout his works, and how they're always constantly, like, kind of in being this, like, cult-like town.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's sort of like a character in itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. I mean, I could see that, and you kind of get splashes of that in Halloween 6. That like a lot of people are in on this like cult ritual within Haddonfield, and it sort of makes sense too because this is the place it's been happening in like over and over and over again. So
that would be the only way it makes sense for how Michael gets the thorn.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
how does a 6-year-old kid?
You need some sort of like. I don't know, backstory to how he gets this mark and grows up being cursed.
Which is hilarious. Again, when you think back to the first film, it's hilarious because it's just like he just randomly, dons the mask and kills his sister and he's just standing outside kind of blank face after the parents pull the mask off and just kind of looking at him like, Michael!
Yeah.
Like,
What'd you do, Michael?
And as they're sending them off to the sanitarium, they're probably like, good.
Yeah.
The plan is,
It's exactly what we wanted.
It's the plan we, been planning for millennia.
For Michael to murder my other daughter.
Like in Halloween 3 with the whole town for the Silver Shamrock Mask. Like, we've been waiting millennia, to enact this great plan to take the souls of children. The technology is right. So it's kind of like, that apparently is going to be what's going to happen here. Like, we've been in it all along. And if only Donald Pleasance, lived to see it, you could,
We could have found out what happened in that. I would be curious to...
That probably would have killed him.
Oh, yeah.
If they had, like, a show up in... If he didn't die before Halloween 6 came out, they bring him back for Halloween 7 to find out it's all been this clever ruse of this, Celtic cult in Haddonfield. That probably would have been the thing that ended up killing him.
Well, think about, like, with that scenario, you have Loomis, who's pretty much spent his entire life, like, tracking Michael down, making sure that he doesn't harm anybody in Haddonfield, constantly coming back to Haddonfield to warn them. And then he comes to find out, like, oh, they've actually been doing it, to themselves. Like, this ritual has been drawing Michael back on purpose. At that point, you'd be like, my whole life's work fucking in flames. Why did I even bother?
Yeah, pointless. Jeez.
Yeah.
Well...
do we want to take a break for beer? Do we have anything really to talk about this week?
If you want.
I mean, I have just a couple of quick updates that I've had. Last time on the show, we had I said we had a Torp that we ordered from Hopsy for my sub machine, and this week we have a new one in the sub machine, and it is another. It's an amber ale from Mustache Brewing Company. And I gotta say, it's pretty good. It's still, I think, on the flatter side in terms of like mouthfeel, but it does have a good amber taste to it. Nicely colored as well, because that's what you want. You're looking for that amber color when you're drinking an amber ale, and I think it's a pretty good beer. I'm still not sure right now if the Torp itself is what's flat, or if it's Mustache Brewing Company's style that they make a little bit more on the flatter end. In this case, with this Torp, it's still getting a lot of head on it, but it's just sometimes the mouth feels a little bit less carbonated than I would like. So still not sure yet whether it's the sub itself or it's the brewing that we're getting. So we'll know that next time when I try out the Oktoberfest that I've already had previously, and I'll know, whether or not the sub itself is the culprit in this. But I had so that Mustache Amber Ale, fairly good. I'd recommend it. Anything else that you've had recently that's different for you, Martin?
No.
Nothing new, huh?
Nope, I'm pretty dull.
Yeah, haven't been branching out. Yesterday I drank a lot of Sam Adams IPAs in their Rebel Pack and Jenny Cream Ale, and we've already done all that on here, so no need to touch on them again. So just a quick update for that. I wanted to bring up two real quick. Did you see the new trailer for the Pet Sematary remake?
No, I have not.
Yeah, you should check it out.
It yesterday.
Yeah. One thing that stands out to me, I think it looks fairly good. It looks sort of like an updated version of Pet Sematary where they've tried to add quite a few things that I would consider to be more of contemporary parts of horror. Masks, for one thing, like creepy masks, kids with masks. And just a lot more of the atmosphere.
You had me at John Lithgow.
Right, exactly. That's the big thing that I noticed from here is John Lithgow is playing the role of the old man that Peter Gwynn played in...
Fred Gwynn.
Fred Gwynn played in the original Pet Sematary.
What are we doing, Pet Sematary?
I don't know. At some point.
That whole podcast, whenever we do Pet Sematary, I'll be Fred Gwynn the entire time.
The remake comes out in April, so we could tie it in with that. So the one thing that I did wish that they did was have Jonathan Lithgow say the line.
You don't want to go down. They're probably going to save that. They're going to save that. Probably.
You think it's actually in there? Or do you think
it has to be? With how films operate these days, especially
just a little nod
for going for nostalgia.
Yeah.
Ugh.
You think
they have to? It would be wrong not to. Just like how with Halloween, the new Halloween coming out, there's going to be several nods to the original, and probably Halloween 2 too.
Yeah,
to make people go
I think there's nods in that film to all of the Halloweens, despite the fact that technically in this universe they wouldn't have happened.
No, I know, but it's
just like a
people love their nostalgia.
Yeah, I know. I think in Pet Sematary though, I don't know if they'll do it or not, but I would like to see them do a rendition of it, maybe not straight up. Because if they did it straight up, you would expect Jonathan Lithgow and everybody else to turn to the camera and just be like, we got it in here. You didn't think it would be here, but we did it.
Instead of, you don't want to go down that route, it's going to be, you don't want to go down that there road.
Yeah. Jonathan Lithgow does sport a nice little beard, a little white beard, so it's looking good. I'm excited for it. I think it looks pretty good. So
I love John Lithgow.
Yeah, and he's another one of those actors that's sort of game for everything.
Yeah, he can do it all.
Yeah, he's up for anything. He'll do a really serious role. He'll, be pissed off at people dancing.
He's literally one of the few good things about the show Dexter.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I haven't watched a lot of Dexter, so I don't know if I got to him in that.
I think he was season 4.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten to him. So
yeah, I think he was the season 4 serial killer
antagonist.
Yeah, because before that it was Jimmy Schmitz. I'm just so glad to see Jimmy Schmitz getting work. This is great. It can't get any better than this. And then the next season is John Lithgow. I'm like, it just got better.
There you go.
But yeah, I didn't really like Dexter.
What are you gonna do?
Well, it's just a show that was recommended to me by a lot of people.
Yeah,
it's just kind of
disappointment.
Well, it wasn't bad. It was just very middling.
Yeah. Well, so let's get into Halloween 6 then.
The Curse of Michael Myers.
Curse of Michael Myers.
Can't forget that part.
No, you really can't. You really can't.
Halloween 5, when the title cards just had Halloween 5. It didn't have the Revenge of Michael Myers on it.
This one does. Yeah.
This one dropped to 6 in the title card. It just says Halloween, the Curse of Michael Myers. So
yeah, and let's talk, as we're talking about the title, that fucking opening title sequence for the theatrical cut with the font. Just horrible. Just horrible. somebody did not care whatsoever in the visual editing department to like get even like try. They're like, what's the font in right now? Like Arial? All right, just leave it. Just put it right over the image, and we're good to go. I feel like that was a rush job. They're just because I think in the producer's cut, it's different. The font is different, and in this one, it's really just literally like whatever the generic typeface was for the.
Something that looked very early 90s.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all of it is like the font for the title itself, but then the font for the actors too, when it's saying like starring. It's all horrible.
Starring and introducing Paul Stephen
Rudd. I don't know why he would have gone with Paul Stephen Rudd because
probably Paul Rudd was taken at the
You
time.
think Paul Rudd would have been another actor at the time?
Had to be.
I mean,
it sounds far fetched, but it had to be because again, like why do you ask yourself with like a lot of people why do they originally don't go with their just like two given names? They have like a third name. It's because someone much more obscure at the time got their SAG card before then. And then,
Yeah, I mean, it is really strange that he would go with Paul Stephen Rudd. And
I don't remember if in Clueless if he did or not. I don't know when he decided to drop the Stephen part.
I don't know. That's a good
question.
Good point, because I don't know when he dropped it. Never really. I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen Clueless, so I don't remember. Was he Paul Stephen Rudd in that one? But I just like that.
Well, you can look it up. You can look it up right now, and
I'll take a look here. Paul Stephen Rudd. But I mean, so I thought the opening sequence for Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers, was fairly interesting because you can really see the 90s creeping into this one.
Especially in the editing.
Yeah, for sure. No, he didn't use Paul Stephen Rudd in this, and Clueless. Just to let you guys know. But yeah, the editing for this is truly atrocious at the beginning of this film. It's very 90s-esque. It's
what would be now known as MTV style.
Yeah,
editing.
it's like epileptic cuts and flashes of like stuff that's happening outside of like the present time period. And it's never really, I don't know that they go into like great detail about like what's happening. Why is that why are you cutting like that? But for the most part, it's basically setting up the idea that Jamie, after the events of Halloween 5, was like sort of kidnapped, she's impregnated, and then...
Which, by the way, she's 15. It's totally skirted it,
just like let's we won't worry about that.
Yeah, no, like so, like if you like don't expect you not to think about it, like oh, Jamie's pregnant, she's about to have a baby in this cultist laboratory, but they say like Jamie Lloyd's been missing for 6 years, and she was 9 years in the event, 9 years old in the events of Halloween 5. It's like she's 15.
Yeah. I feel like they don't really want to bring that up because. Well, first of all, the time frame would be really weird if they try to change much of it. Because there's already a fairly convoluted time frame throughout the opening of this film to make sure that everything's in place. Like, because you have to have Tommy Doyle around the age of Paul Rudd from 1978.
So he'd have to be at this point, like 25 years old.
Yeah. So you have to have sort of like this. The time frame, like I wouldn't want to be in charge of that, like having to like on the writers board, just like having like this one happened in 1978.
Well, apparently the writer, which I don't exactly remember his name, apparently he did map out like a timeline. He mapped out for this film an in-depth timeline, family trees for
Daniel Ferrens.
Yeah, for like all the characters created specific family trees to make sure everything was like knotted down.
Right.
So it is. I will give this film credit. It is more definitely thought out, and it's, its ties to the rest of the universe. But you are right. It does become a convoluted mess.
It's like almost unnecessary that it's so ridiculously complicated on.
God, like what's the next one they have? A third cousin removed from the Strode family comes to town, and
and they decide like I'm going to live in this one vacant house that nobody seems to want to live in. Oh yeah, that's right, because your very distant relative was murdered in there. It's like Like and the thing is though, like even though they've come up with this really convoluted idea of like, here's Kara Strode, she's a adopted cousin to Laurie Strode, and Jamie has a baby and all this stuff. It's really the same concept. Some person lives and has the unlucky thing of living in Michael Myers' house. Michael Myers is back, and he's whatever he wants to just kill people again. And that's like literally the gist of the plot if you boil it down. And they just had to get it a lot more convoluted to make it make sense with all these curses that are popping up. The curse of the thorn. And it's just, I can understand why they wanted to go through this like sort of curse route, because there's really not much else that you can do at this point. Where you're just going to have Michael Myers come back again and again and again and again, just killing people, murdering and killing people in Haddonfield. That's going to get a little bit boring. So you have to have something else that is sort of a draw to this plot. So I will say that even though I think the ritual curse aspect of it is pretty stupid, I do agree that something needed to be done here. Like, they couldn't just do the same thing again and again. They had to do something a little bit different. And where do you go with it? It's very, very frustrating. The only thing that they could have done, really, and then you would have gotten rid of Michael Myers altogether, is follow up with that Jamie being
the next
killer. And they really don't do that. And they don't even make a nod to it or anything like that. Oh yeah, remember when Jamie killed her mom? That was a thing that happened in this timeline as well. They don't bring any of that up.
Don't even bring Danielle Harris back.
No, they didn't. They didn't bother. At this point, Danielle Harris probably would have been.
Well, from what I read online, they did offer her.
Yeah,
but the pay she was asking for, which wasn't outrageous, but enough to like she recently to do the role. Yeah. Got emancipated from her parents, and they weren't willing to basically give her pay enough to cover that cost. Yeah, and so they said, "Well, fuck it, we'll get someone else."
Yeah.
So
they did get somebody else, and she has a nice mom haircut, perfect. For
very, she just got done watching the Santa Claus.
Yeah, yes, yeah. It's a very mom haircut, like a nice little bob that she's got going on.
Demi Moore and Ghost.
Yeah, yeah. So the whole opening sequence is fairly ridiculous.
Why does like the nurse / midwife who helps give birth to Jamie's child, and all of a sudden like, I'll help you get out of here, like, what was her change of heart? Being in this cult fucking hospital, and all of a sudden be like, oh, my womanly instincts just kicked in for the defense of a baby, because
maybe she's not affiliated, and they're just like, we need a nurse, get in here.
Wouldn't she think like, why do you got this like pentagram on the ground, and we're having to do this by candlelight, with druids walking around. It's just a little. Oh, I think I've been, bamboozled.
This is not the normal hospital protocol. Yeah. Candles. Oh yeah, it was Jamie's request. She just apparently a lot of people in this film like candles though.
Yeah,
it's a candle-loving film. If you're a heavy shopper at Yankee Candle, you're gonna love this movie. Oh, but it's candle porn in here.
Doubt they had a Yankee Candle in this town. Some shop candle maker in this town, is a multi-billionaire because everyone's got 50 candles on standby.
Yeah, I mean, in this movie
for lovemaking.
A teen who's just about to get down with business is like, whoa, hold on a second, where's the candles? It's like that's not really a common pause. For most people.
Hold on, I gotta shower.
Yeah. I mean, he's really. I don't know. He's very. He likes to be smelling nice, and he likes ambience and atmosphere. He's a very romantic soul. Unfortunately, he gets murdered very quickly after. So
looks like he walked off the Boy Meets World.
Yeah,
set.
He does actually. He looks like he could be. Who were the bullies in that show? You remember their names?
Well, one of them was Ethan Suplee.
Well, yeah. But the guy with the longer hair, remember that bully? He looks like him a little bit.
I was saying he looked like Will Friedle.
He
does look like Corey's brother. Yeah. He does look like a low-rent Will Friedle.
Yeah.
With, his boots and then his, like, sweatpants and jeans just kind of not even, like, draped over them, but, like, kind of tucked in, and his flannel.
What was he supposed to be for Halloween? What was that costume he's wearing? He basically just has, like, a Zorro-style eye mask or something like that.
No, because he had the stitches on his head too. It was like part Dracula, part Zorro, part Frankenstein, I guess.
I mean, she's Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah. His girlfriend's Bride of Frankenstein. That's pretty clear. But I don't know what he was supposed to be.
I think it was like a hybrid.
Yeah, must be. He was just going for it all. So, one of the things that's pretty interesting about this movie is that it has sort of like a shock jock radio host that sort of shows up randomly throughout this film.
The Z-list William H. Macy.
Yeah,
that's what he looks
does,
like with that.
He has a really ridiculous mustache
with that mustache and hair.
Horrible.
He looks like you got to find a William H. Macy lookalike, and
I'm not really sure the point of the whole radio host thing.
Maybe that's the inspiration for urban legend for
Tara Reid's like
I talk about sex and stuff. Yeah.
At the college.
He's like, hey, she's probably like that in bed with crotchless panties and dog bites.
I mean, I think it's fairly interesting, and it does add a little bit more to that opening sequence. Is like he's doing this whole radio conversation about Michael Myers, which does bring out the crazies who call into his show, and you're like, what the hell was he expecting? He's like, what's going on out there? Is it a full moon? It's like, you're talking about Michael Myers. Like, people are going to be crazy calling in.
Part Howard Stern, part Rush Limbaugh.
And it's like part coast to coast, paranormal talk.
Because I have friends that I work with that when they drive into work, because I go to work at almost 4 o'clock in the morning. They listen to that crap about people calling up
the coast to coast,
like talking about the fifth dimension.
Yeah. I used to listen to it with my dad when we got out of the radio station around midnight, and it's pretty interesting. And there are a lot of crazy people out there, but that's basically what his show is. And people call in, and that's actually how. I mean, I guess it makes sense because that's how Jamie and Dr. Loomis and Tommy Doyle are all kind of interconnected at that point, because they're all listening to this show, obviously, because fucking Loomis has got, maybe now he's really gone from like crazy person to just like
John Hammond.
Yeah. He's keeping a whole nest of Michael Myers dolls in his house somewhere, probably.
Well, he was writing he's like, I'm done being a doctor, I'm writing a book now.
It's probably a good idea. It's probably a good idea for Loomis to be like, I'm hanging up my doctor's license.
But he literally looks like John Hammond, like as he was like talking and like moving around at first, like expecting like the Jurassic Park theme to like kick in, like
Yeah, he does, because they even made him grow a beard this time. Or I don't know if they made him or if that's he was sporting.
He
but
had one.
Yeah, but this is much thicker than what he's normally had. Yeah. He's really actually gotten out of control. Maybe at this point he was just like, "Fuck it, I'm not shaving anymore."
I also for a second too thought he was back on the Phenomena set, because he's sitting there at his typewriter. Like,
it feels similar to Phenomena.
You just need a chimp. Loomis has a chimp now, to help him.
But I have to question whether he actually gave up his medical license or if someone is like, okay,
finally,
Loomis,
after all this,
like we're taking it away, and they're like, I mean, you can say that you've given up on it, but we took it away. Like you're no longer allowed to practice.
You get no.
And that may be the other reason why when Wynn comes in and says, "I want you back," he says like, "I'm retired. I don't really practice anymore," but he does go along with it because he was like, "Oh, one last hurrah, one more chance to be Dr. Loomis instead of
why
crazy
at this
Loomis
point
sitting
though?
at a
Why would he
typewriter."
want to?
Yeah, exactly.
Are you kidding? If I was him and they're like, we're going to go look for Michael Myers, he's like, fuck that
shit.
Well,
he's had like a nice, calm 6 years, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, for the most part, sitting at home.
Gave up the drink.
Retired. Writing a nice manuscript that potentially no one's ever going to read. He's just kind of like working on it by himself, and he might be left. He'll die at some point, and somebody will discover the manuscript, but probably not going to sell. So, yeah, I mean, I think that at this point, and especially in Curse of Michael Myers, Loomis's role, despite, like, what happens in the producer's cut, we're just talking the theatrical cut, Loomis's role is really, like, very small in this film. He only actually is in it
to, like, the film forgets about him.
Yeah, it forgets about him, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, yeah, Loomis is here. Remember him?
And I think that will have to do with the fact, because he died during the making of the film.
Yeah.
And once they went to do reshoots, he obviously wasn't there to refilm things. That's why,
Sure.
kind of ends up being like, in certain points, like, so what's Loomis and Paul Rudd doing? Like,
Yeah, a lot of times.
Why half the film is just Paul Rudd wandering around this apparent, Halloween political rally at the Haddonfield campus.
Yeah.
Of just kind of slowly slumming about,
Yeah.
Looking for what? Who knows?
Yeah, I think like with Loomis, they do a lot of where he's not present, and then all of a sudden he like pops out of an elevator or something. He's like, "Yeah, I'm here. I'm here to help." And I think that does have to do with like he was not available to do some of these filmings and reshoots, and they probably got rid of some of the scenes that really heavily involved him. But I would say, do you want to give a Loony Loomis score for this one? I would say that my Loony Loomis score for him is pretty low on this one. I would say a 3 because he's very sort of subdued here.
I'd agree.
Yeah,
he doesn't go off the rails at all. I think, again, at this point, I think he's just too damn tired. He doesn't have the energy.
Yeah, the energy very clearly is just like not here for him. And I think there's only like one scene where he yells something like he's coming or something like that. And that, other than that, there's no like rise in his normal level. It's just very subdued. So I'd give it a 3. He does still seem a bit on the crazy side, but more like quiet crazy guy who stays in the house most of the day. Now, Paul Rudd, on the other hand, is sort of in this film. I think that they've tried to make him like adopt Loomis's qualities. Like he does seem in some ways like Loomis in some of the ways that he delivers his lines. But again, Paul Rudd here is very subdued as well, and that seems like more of a disinterest in his character. Because as you said, Tommy's just walking around this community, like staring at people, looking into windows, randomly like strutting around the campus. It doesn't really make you just think about people like seeing him in the grocery store and like, what is he doing?
It's Rear Window without the intrigue. Just like, oh, he's just no.
Yeah, it almost seems like he's just very mindlessly like walking around, or even like the bus attendant who's at the depot when he asks like, "Did a bus come in last night?" And he probably is used to Paul Rudd doing that all the time. Did Michael Myers arrive on a bus again last night? He just seems like he's used to it. So Paul Rudd here, I mean, for his appearing role here, just very disinterested, not delivering much character at all.
Not showing anything worthwhile of eventually being a multi-million-dollar film actor.
No, for sure. And he also sometimes adopts an accent that sort of goes away here and there. And you said it's Shatner-esque a lot of the time when he's delivering his lines.
Line delivery, yeah. Like from the clip.
Oh, yeah, the one that we have in the beginning.
He's like, you won, Michael. Yeah, it almost... He easily could have fit on, the original Star Trek next to Shatner.
I do feel, though, like they were trying to have him adopt some of Loomis's qualities, right? Because Loomis sometimes delivers lines like that as well. Like, you won, Michael. I could see him saying that, too. So I feel like they were trying to have Tommy Doyle sort of picking up on the mannerisms and characteristics of Loomis a little bit to become like that new Loomis. Because he is just as obsessed as Loomis used to be when he was...
shit posted all over his room.
Yeah.
Like...
He's
Michael Myers, dead or alive.
He's like constantly listening in on this radio station and calling in, saying that he's experienced Michael before.
Where'd he get the time to work out?
Yeah, I mean, he looks pretty good.
It must be pre-Sierra Nevada. Hasn't discovered it yet.
I would say so. Probably pre-Sierra Nevada, even though
hasn't hit Illinois yet.
Yeah, even though he does seem very subdued, like he might have been, depressed from drinking, but. Then you have the other character, Kara Strode, who is Tommy Doyle's next door neighbor. He likes to peep on her occasionally. She is the cousin, distant, adopted cousin of Laurie Strode, and she really, her character not that interesting throughout most of the film.
As a bastard child.
She does. She has a child named Danny who is really kind of annoying as a annoying kid in this film. And I feel like one of the more entertaining elements that I could probably have watched more often is the family dynamic between Kara and her father, who basically calls her a whore, says you hoard it back up and now you're home again. With Danny, and smacks her in the face right at the breakfast table. It's a little bit of a different approach than, like what Laurie would get when she was at home. And it sort of leads into Rob Zombie's, like, ridiculous breakfast scene in the remake of Halloween.
Well, apparently, for what we get, too, because after she leaves, she, says, oh, just another day at the Strode house.
Yeah,
so
it's common.
Yeah.
Her dad is an asshole.
He's got to sell houses, damn it.
Yeah.
Why is there a broken down truck in their front yard?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just supposed to be like they haven't been able to clean up the Myers house. Like there's just all kinds of shit at the Myers house that they have been trying to fix, but it's sort of like that curse again, the cursed house, hard to fix this house.
Ah, damn it! The plumbing went out again.
And no one wants it either. So it's like throughout the years, almost 20 years that have gone by since the original Halloween, like it's just been sort of left to be the dilapidated house. Because in pretty much a lot of the Halloween movies, you see like the Myers house, and it's like not able to be sold or anything like that. People are trying to sell it and they can't. So I guess that again goes along with that curse of Michael Myers. Literally, the curse is that Michael Myers fucked up this house, and now none of his relatives can ever sell it. In the housing market like that,
it's an LA Noire plot scheme.
Yeah, right. That was the whole thing.
The whole crux.
Yeah. Let's talk about the kills in this film, because
they're as generic as generic can
they're
be.
fairly generic. A lot of them are very generic, like Michael slicing with knives. He cuts a neck once. He stabs somebody. He does shove the nurse into the wall. Like,
why did that?
Picks her up and shoves her on
what I don't get is why was it just random
metal hook just sitting in the hallway?
Yeah,
that's a good question. I don't know what it's supposed to be, but I mean, I've always kind of
Michael is just lucky, that.
Yeah, he just happened to have a hook right there, and he's like, perfect. Let's hang a nurse. The other one that I think is pretty good, that's sort of brutal, is Jamie's death. He actually pushes her onto a corn thresher. That's what it is. It's a thresher. So that's why it has like those sort of spiked, weird, I don't know, whatever hands that are on it, like tines almost. And then he turns it on and it threshes about. It's supposed to like thresh corn, I guess. I don't know that, and I live in the country. I didn't know it was a corn thresher, but that's what it is. I thought that's pretty brutal, at least. And that's the difference. Like, most of the other kills in this film are not really brutal. They don't really have, anything going on that is very. It's all very generic.
You got one that's very over the top. The electrocution of.
Oh yeah. That's true.
Straight from Home Alone 2.
It does remind of Home Alone 2. Did Home Alone 2 come first?
Yes.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, because it would have been 91, right?
It came out the year after Home Alone.
Yeah, so it would have been 91. It does look a lot like Home Alone, except in Home Alone 2, he does not get blown up by electrocution. And in Halloween 6, he's blown to smithereens by being like electrocuted so much that it just explodes. I guess it cooks his insides.
Well, I don't get how is because Michael was like holding the metal prongs. So how is he not getting electrocuted?
Yeah, and the thing about that whole scene is that it's almost like super comical too, because we do have that zoom out of the house, and you can see like the lights on the porch is flashing, and like there's fucking ridiculous blue light shooting out of the basement windows. It's so like over the top and ridiculous. It's almost like you're supposed to laugh at it because it's so stupid.
I did.
I did too, and I think part of why I was reminded of Home Alone 2 is because you get that exterior shot that looks like Home Alone 2. Yeah, that's other than that though, like there's not that much else that's memorable about the kills in this film.
This one they made sure to like cut away, but then add blood splatters this time.
Yeah.
So like when there was like, cuts, they'd cut away and then like show a splatter, like.
Also, the biggest thing too is that they do a lot of editing and epileptic lighting, because
this film better have had a warning.
Yeah, there's a lot of flashes, a lot of editing. The whole scene where Michael's in the hospital and he just kills everybody in the hospital exam room. That's all just like shot with flashing strobe lights, and you can barely see anything
just
except for like
getting jump cut, like
Yeah, you can barely see. The only thing you can really see is like the knife coming down and like ripping out blood.
Which that's like straight out Friday the 13th too, because it's basically a machete he's carrying around.
Yeah, but it's pretty big, like butcher's knife or whatever he's got. So
it looked more like a machete, like a thinner machete.
Yeah, I would say that Halloween 6 is one of like actually though it's better than 4 and 5. 4 and 5 are really tame, and they almost don't even show much death at all. So 6 is better than 4 and 5 in the deaths department, but they're just very generic. They're not as creative even as like Halloween 2.
Yeah, no, I'd say outside of the electrocution and the kill for Jamie, it was very just pedantic.
How about the music here, the score? Because this one sees fit to adopt Carpenter's themes and probably a little bit more closely, like some of the theme, like the original theme is fairly close to Carpenter's score rather than like 4 and 5, which did the whole really like ridiculous synth score.
I don't think Alan Howarth really had a lot to say on this final cut. He gets the credit, but I got a feeling.
Yeah, that Paul Rabjohns did a lot more of it.
Had to have, because it has nothing. It doesn't.
It's got like the whole chase scenes have ridiculous guitar parts for the chase sound, because it's like an electric guitar going and then
like it's like a sitcom, like like you're watching Clarissa Explains It All. Oh, Sam's coming up to Clarissa's room. Hey, Sam.
Yeah.
So it's like for this film.
Like somebody hit the whammy bar really hard. And the other thing too is like there's a ton of guitar and drum solo noodling in this, like during the chase sequences, because they do like a ton of guitar sweeps, like, and then there is a whole part where there's just like some guy doing a drum solo for like. I don't know if it's supposed to be like Michael during the daytime when he's not stalking people. He's like practicing his drum solos, but doesn't really fit that much. I would say that it doesn't create the suspense that you're accustomed to when thinking about Halloween and the whole stalking sequences.
You can tell the mid 90s have rolled in
absolutely
good and hard too, because when they come to there's going to be a song in the car radio, we're going to play something that's like it's like Alice in Chains. But it's not.
Yeah, but it's worse.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it's worse.
Like especially that end credit song sounded like they were definitely trying to go for like Alice in Chains.
Yeah, I don't even know who it was, but that end credit song. But it definitely sounded like Alice in Chains, but it was not. It was much worse.
Just that nice, grungy, like can't afford music rights, so just like try to church it up a little bit.
Yeah.
The film had terrible sound effects too.
Yeah, it does.
Every time, like Michael stabs somebody, it's just like a bone crunch. Like
yeah, it does sound like somebody had one of those big hanging meat hooks with a piece of cow with a cowhide or something. It was just starting hauling off, punching it as hard as possible, like doing a boxing punch. Yeah, they do sound pretty ridiculous.
They're all generic. Like the one. Flare gun type thing that Paul Rudd grabs in the maximum security part of Smith's Grove and shoots Michael with.
Yeah.
It makes a typical shotgun no.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of bits like that throughout the movie where the sound effects department's really lacking. Like they just took the most generic of generic sounds for everything.
Yeah.
All right, that's what we're gonna use.
Yeah.
That's all we got. Spent all that money on Paul Rudd. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, well, I'll leave it to when we do the rating. First, did we cover most of the things that you want to talk about the film itself?
We can talk a little bit more about the cult aspect.
Okay, yeah, the Cult of Thorn.
Kind of go more into
That's
it.
true, yeah. So one thing about the Cult of Thorn is that it's led by Dharma's father, from Dharma and Greg.
I was going to call him low-rent Charlton Heston, but...
Yeah, he is sort of like that, too, but I just always recognize him as Dharma's father, the guy who's, very uptight and... Or, no, not Dharma's father. I think it's Greg's father. Yeah, it's Greg's father. Sorry. Because Greg's the uptight guy.
Yeah, Dharma's the free
It's Greg's father.
That's one of the few good Family Guy jokes. We now return to Dharma and Greg. Oh, Dharma, you're such a free spirit.
Yeah.
Audience applause.
Yeah. It's Greg's father from Dharma and Greg. That's Mitchell Ryan. I've seen him in a few other things, but I don't really know him that well. Besides Greg's father and Dharma and Greg. So every time I watch this movie, that's all I can think of. It is hard to take him seriously as kind of a villain figure.
Was he supposed to be the Man in Black?
Yeah, he's supposed to. Yeah, he's supposed to be the guy that keeps showing up.
He's the guy that showed up with a fucking machine gun at the end of Halloween 5 and just, mowed down everybody in the police station. That's why there's no police in this goddamn film. The entire precinct 6 years ago got wiped out. And so when they banned Halloween in Haddonfield, they got rid of the police department. We don't need a police department anymore.
They've never been able to get enough people in town to be a part of the police force anymore. People are no, I am not doing that.
Even though, it was 4 that had the posse, right?
Yeah.
So in Halloween 4, they were real easy to get a posse round up, a couple of them to help a little white girl. Now it's like, nope, I'm not dealing with that.
Yeah, no, in this one, everybody's like, if they become a police officer, like, I'm going to the neighboring county. I'm not working in Haddonfield.
But yeah, no, I just find it funny that, the old man doctor was able to sneak up into this, the police station Halloween.
Well, maybe he was a lot more spry 6 years ago. I don't know. One thing with the cult, and the whole thing about the cult is that it's super convoluted, right? The film does not explain much about the cult whatsoever, especially like in terms of what Danny's supposed to be to the cult. I think there's that implication that he has the curse as well, but there's no tattoo. There's no explanation for why he's like an important character in this film and why he gets visited by the Man in Black consistently.
And again, we're going off of the
right, exactly.
Theatrical.
We're going off of the theatrical cut. So a lot of that cult aspect is really cut down in this film, and you only see bits and pieces of like what that cult actually means. And you're delivered it by Paul Rudd.
Yeah, that nice exposition. On his like Apple II computer, like showing like all the
history of
the Celtic symbols.
Samhain.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. He does have like, for whatever reason, he just has like a giant circle of runes on his computer that he refers to every day. I don't know. Is that like what he just like checks in to memorize what runes are?
I mean, it's in a way, it's like, okay, it's kind of like it is kind of a cool thing. It would explain why Michael's this indestructible.
Yeah, he's like been summoned almost.
Yeah, this killing force, but at the same time, it's like, it is kind of cringeworthy because it's like.
I think one thing that the cult does is it takes away from how spooky Michael can be. Because if you think about when they get to the hospital and they're doing the whole cult ritual with the other people, and Michael's sort of just like a sentinel, and he's like just walking down the hallways like looking for people. It's kind of goofy, right? Like Michael at that point looks more like a bodyguard than anything else. Like he's being used for whatever this cult wants him to do. And I feel like that takes away from him a little bit. Like he doesn't seem to be like the main antagonist anymore.
And what does him killing the last of the clan do? They say it's good that a clan member like wipes out, that way the rest of them, what does it do? Is this like fucking the Wicker Man and brings a good harvest?
Yeah, it doesn't really, we don't really know. And like it doesn't seem to matter because like what are they looking for power? Because they already have Michael and he's invincible, basically. So like, what does wiping out your clan do for the cult? It doesn't. Insane riches? They already have like a ridiculous widespread cult. Because at the end of this film, pretty much everybody that has been around is in on it. The old lady who basically just sits in her living room staring off into space, she's actually not sick, and she...
Which, that was hilarious, too, when Kara runs upstairs, and she just fucking jumps right through the,
oh, God, yeah.
The glass, and like, just... Yeah. And then, like, you'd think, like, she'd be, like, bleeding and, like, running away. Nope, just...
Yeah, the idea behind that jump out of the window doesn't really make sense to me, because it was like, so they're going to capture you if you just stay where you are, or... You can sustain bodily injury from flying through glass and a 2-story fall, then get captured.
Maybe she thought she'd get killed from it.
She just wanted to die. She was like, I'm out.
Maybe.
She wanted to leave her son.
No, it's funny, too, because at the same time, they capture and like knock out Loomis and Paul Rudd, and there's a very jarring cut to where they go back to Paul Rudd and Loomis standing where she fell, and like Paul Rudd's like, I feel like I've been drugged, and it's like, yeah, that cut does make it feel like we as an audience have also been drugged. It's like, what the hell,
Yeah, it's like they didn't really.
What's the time lapse here,
Yeah, it is weird. The other thing that's weird about the whole cult aspect, it's not really the cult itself, but once you get to the final scene where Paul Rudd and Kara are sort of in a fight to the death with Michael, they come up in this industrialized hospital, wherever this place is. I don't know.
Well, no, it's Smith Grove.
Smith Grove. Oh, okay.
So
Smith Grove. So it is that same sort of industrial hospital that had smoke blowing out of pipes and everything.
Well, no, it didn't have then, the first one.
No.
The hospital in 2 and 4 or whatever. That's the Haddonfield one. Yeah. So, I mean, this is the sanitarium.
Now it's
They've up, they got that, government money now, so they've updated their interior to post-industrial 90s modern.
My question is, what is in those glowing green syringes.
Well, there was a bottle that had said something on it, and I just said, look, they left Mountain Dew there.
Yeah. I mean, like, what is that?
Or, maybe it's Surge.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to inject you with Surge right now. Like, no, four syringes didn't do it. He needs six. He needs 6 syringes of Surge.
No, it's supposed to be some kind of.
I guess it's supposed to be like just like a poison. And so at this point, it makes him stagger and, he's like drunk, I guess, maybe.
It was great, though. And Paul Rudd's sitting there beating his ass with that pipe. I was expecting Loomis to come in like, I've tried that before with a board. It didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
But no, he just gets in the elevator and tells, Kara and the baby and Danny to get in. And...
It's actually a really easy and stupid way to finish Michael in this movie.
You just beat him down. And
yeah, it's like just get him with syringes and hit him with a pipe. Like, that has never worked. So there's always got to be something else in the other films that we've watched that takes him out. Like, like you said, like the board didn't take out Michael. So why does a pipe in this one knock him into unconsciousness and they are able to escape? And
because he's Ant-Man.
That ends Halloween 6.
He's Ant-Man.
Yeah, that's true.
But no, what's even, I think, kind of dumber... And again, we're just going with theatrical cut. So for the theatrical cut, after that, you get like the happy ending, like Paul Rudd and Kara and the baby and the kid. They're in the car and they're about to go away. And like, come on, Dr. Loomis, let's go. He's like, no, I have unfinished business to tend to. So like he's gonna try to go in for one last time and end Michael and this cult or whatever. Whatever the fuck.
He's gonna blow up a hospital again.
Whatever. And then what's it do? Just cuts to like a pumpkin and the mask of Michael, and you just hear in the background Loomis screaming, "No!"
Yeah, pumpkin flickers.
And then in memory of Donald Pleasance.
Yeah.
It's like, isn't that just the?
I mean,
is that how you wanted to see him go out?
Yeah.
Thought that was a fitting way. I know the theatrical cut. The producer's cut got cut away because people didn't like the whole him then being associated with the cult or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
You thought this would be better though?
It is unfortunate that they didn't get a chance to just at least show Loomis's honorable death on screen.
Or something. Just like he tries one more time to kill Michael.
Yeah.
And fails.
Yeah, because like he deserves that instead of an off-screen yell.
Like gurgling,
I mean, I understand that it wasn't ideal that he died during production, but honestly, you probably would have thought at that point, like, this might be his last one. Right? I would have thought so. So, like, you might want to shoot it so that there's a...
You didn't have somewhere in the vast catalog of 6 films a track where you could have had,
Yeah. Like
a something better to play.
Yeah. No,
or at least save it for the next film. Wouldn't that be cool? Be the intro for the next one, because they're always thinking about making that next one. So just end it there and have like him starting to go into the hospital and have it end on it'll be picked up next time.
Yeah,
which is fine because they could always decide not to do that because they did that with Halloween 5 after the ending of Halloween 4, as we constantly say. Hey, you remember when Jamie killed her mom? No one does.
No one does.
Yep.
No one cares.
Yep. No one cares. Moved on.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Well, one thing I will say, though, is that even though I thought I wouldn't, I think Halloween 6 is better than 4 and 5.
A lot better.
Yeah, it's at least more entertaining throughout. You have the dick dad. You have Paul Rudd just walking around aimlessly. Loomis's beard is, I gotta say, very, very nice. And then, you have some of those more interesting kills in here as well. That make it a lot more entertaining than 4 and 5. 4 and 5 are just very
bland.
Just bland, not very interesting. They don't have a lot of entertainment value to them. So I gotta say that I do like Halloween 6 more than 4 and 5, and I'm surprised to say that. I before doing this series, I don't think I would have said that. Because I thought I was gonna put them all in order basically, but that has changed. I feel very differently about the sequence of my favorite Halloween films now. And I think I did a list one time for Cultsploitation of my favorite, ranking my favorite Halloween films. And I'm pretty sure if I go back to that now, it's going to be different. So it's kind of interesting. Anything else you want to say about Halloween 6 before we give it a rating?
No.
All right.
That's about it.
Out of on a scale of 1 to 10 Halloween boxers, because the radio shock jock has some nice Halloween skivvies on in this one. What would you give Halloween 6: The Curse of Michael Myers?
I'll give it a 6.
Okay.
I'll go that high. It's entertaining enough. It does feel like a breeze to watch compared to 4 and 5, and they're basically the same runtime. I do enjoy Paul Rudd, just not really acting worth a damn in this. And we both are big Paul Rudd fans, so it's kind of nice just seeing his early beginnings of him just being Paul Rudd. I'm not a fan of that early mid-90s style editing and shooting, but I think it does kind of work in this as kind of like a cheesy factor. I kind of just enjoy it, at least in this one, for it being cheesy. The kills, though, very middling and boring and not well thought out. They're still something. And I like seeing, Loomis being more subdued and kind of quiet in his retirement. And the only thing I'll say that sucks is it sucks to see that's how he goes out. But compared to 4 and 5, this is much better, much more entertaining. And I would say probably better than it has any right to be. It has interesting ideas, but it's not given enough time to be fleshed out or edited in a coherent manner to where it makes sense. But if you do the digging and research, it does kind of make it more worthwhile to watch. If you probably didn't have any background information on this film, I would probably give it a 5 instead.
Yeah, you kind of have to know the context of it, I guess. I think I would probably give it a 6.5. I did like it a lot more than I thought that I have in the past. It does have some interesting kills. It is much better than 4 and 5. So maybe just even coming off of 4 and 5 and then watching 6, you're like, wow, that was a refreshing take on Halloween compared to those two movies. I do like that. First of all, I like when Paul Rudd is in anything. So I'll take it in this film. Paul Rudd immediately brings the score up. But yeah, you're right. Loomis as well being in this film and sort of subdued, and you can kind of see him getting outside of his Loony Loomis area and just accepting retirement. It's kind of nice to see as well, and seeing Donald Pleasance's final film role. It's really nice. I do think that the cult thing is a little stupid, but at the same time, I do understand why they wanted to go in a different route. You can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. You can't just have Michael Myers come back and kill some other random people in town. That's basically where Jason went in Friday the 13th. And, after a while, those sequels stopped being as interesting. They had to go different places too. So you have to find something else that works. I don't know that the cult works that well. I'm glad that we're retconning it for the new Halloween, but at the same time, I understand why 6 had to do what it did, just to give it a different feel and to explore new options for Michael. I think it does make Michael a little bit of a lesser antagonist in this film, because it seems like he's more of just a bodyguard or something than an actual entity that's an unstoppable killing machine. And even like how they vanquish him is probably not how I would have picked it to go out, just because it seems way too easy to just beat him with a pipe until he stops moving. With that said, I think it's pretty fun and definitely more entertaining than 4 and 5. And for that, I can applaud it and probably put it in the middle of my list of favorite Halloween films. So that's it. Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. That's the theatrical cut. And like I said, we probably at some point will do a shorter episode on the producer's cut, maybe exploring the differences between the two, especially since there's about 45 minutes of different footage for the producer's cut than the theatrical cut. Fortunately, we were just not able to do it for this episode, but we will do it at some point in the future. And then with that said, we're going to be doing Halloween Resurrection next week because we're skipping over H2O. We've already done that one. If you want to, in the meantime, though, go and listen to our Halloween H2O episode, which we did last year. Right? Was it last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was last year when we did 90s Slasher Month. So go back and listen to that one before we go into Halloween Resurrection. And I think at some point I'm going to try to watch Halloween H2O just to get prepared for Halloween Resurrection as well and watch the entire series myself. So thanks for listening to this episode. We'll be back with our new season of Halloween episode next week. And then the week after that, finale time, when we get to the actual new Halloween reboot and remake / sequel / whatever the hell it is for Halloween 2018. So that's exciting. I'm very excited for it. And I've got my tattoo all prepared because I just got a new Halloween tattoo of a jack-o'-lantern from Halloween 3. So you can hit up my Facebook page and you can see that tattoo. Thank you for listening. We'll see you next time. And hopefully you're having a happy, spooky October Halloween.
Take care.